Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to the Clayton and James Show. And after a weekend where he took a 17-pointer out of his FPL team ahead of deadline, even though we said play it your way, Clayton has taken up some dancing lessons, ballet dancing, or should I say, ballad dancing. Hello, Clayton. How are you, mate?
I'm okay. You're welcome for giving you your introduction.
How's the ballet?
Not good. Not enjoying it. For
Don't
God's
worry.
sake.
There was a point last night I was thinking I've taken the James Tarkowski 17-pointer out as well. We'll talk Leeds and Everton in a sec. We're going to be talking about some of the recent transfers that have been confirmed in the Premier League. We're going to be going to very far east for the Euro focus this week. Got on this day for you. And also, we're going to be talking about Clates' team, of course. But we'll start with the Monday night football. And before we talk some of what we saw, Leeds Everton, blimey, there's been some controversy over that penalty decision last night. Everybody's got a 100% line on it. I feel
Okay.
like on this
Okay.
decision, it's either like it was definitely a penalty or it definitely wasn't. It feels
So,
like there's no in between. I'm very much of the in between. How do you feel about it?
so are we going straight there? Because I was at my mate's house last night and we had the game on in the background. But if I'm being completely honest, we both found it boring, so we turned it off and we started playing FIFA. But I have seen the penalty incident. And I've not been on social media really since last night. So I haven't seen that there's people 100% on one side or the other. I thought it was harsh from what I saw. I wouldn't say I'm like 100% on that side, but like from what I saw, it looked like he was kind of falling and tried to get his arm behind his back to the point where I think the only way he could have avoided the ball hitting his arm was if his arm was bloody amputated, in my opinion.
So, yeah, I think you can pick your. This is one you can pick your narrative on. So ultimately, where the ball strikes James Tarkowski is very much is arm by side. He almost actually does it like he's trying to get his arm out of the way a little bit, and there is a little bit of a deflection, and it does come through pretty quick. That's one obvious angle you could take and look at that and go, you can't give that. And I think the deflection aids that view as well. I think there's also very much a view that from the point of shot, James Tarkowski takes three pretty big strides to his left and then ends up in the position that it strikes his arm rather than it. I think if he'd have been standing completely stationary, there's no way you could give it.
Yeah.
But he does take quite a chunk of a couple of yards to his left. And I know obviously he's doing that to try and block the ball, right? But he's also moving towards it. And I think that's where the interpretation is. I think ultimately I'm probably slightly more of the no on it, but I also think Tarkovsky knows what he's doing. And he had a look on his face that was like, ah, crap. I didn't think you'd give that because my arm was by its side. I think there was an element of that. I think I feel a little bit sorry for the referee, Chris Kavanagh, in the sense that I think he clearly, when it happened, the roar from behind the goal. It felt. I actually think the Leeds fans won the penalty.
They influenced it, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like every single one of them was at. So when you saw it live the first time, it's obviously come through a crowd, and you're like, I can't tell on the first angle, but it was like, oh wow, that's a really big appeal. So like it could be, and Tarkovsky's it's clearly come off him, and he's ended up on his backside. So something has happened, and it probably has struck his arm. So I think Kavanagh's like leaning through bodies, and you can tell there's like the moment where he looks for the assistant referee, and he obviously gets the nod from the assistant referee. Now, I don't think an assistant referee can give that. If like the ball's like on the
Yeah,
byline
he
and
doesn't have the
someone's
best
trying to
view of that.
cross it, then the assistant referee in theory has got a better view than a referee because he's looking straight at it. So on this one, the assistant's obviously looking side on. I don't know how he could tell if Tarkovsky's like arm was away from his body or anything like that. So I think little bit unlucky, but I also think it wasn't going to get overturned by VAR. And I think if it hadn't been given, I don't think VAR would have gone, it's a penalty.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
that's the line they've taken.
I'm surprised the like what you were saying about a lot of people were on one camp or the other and 100% in their view of it. Because I was kind of like, yeah, I think because I hadn't seen those narratives, I saw it. I was like, oh, I think that's a bit harsh. But also having had this conversation with you, I'm like, yeah, I can also see the perspective of he did shift that way and maybe knew what he was doing. So like, yeah, I don't think it's as definitive, but Yeah, it was given and it was nicely dispatched.
It was. I was quite impressed by Lucas Mecha when he came on, actually. I actually felt it fit the profile of what Leeds needed up front in the game way better. I just felt his hold up play was better. I thought Joel Perot played okay, but I felt when it went into the Mecha, it felt like it was sticking better, and he was bringing other people into play better. And actually, it might bode quite well for Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the longer run, particularly when you see some of the crosses Leeds were putting into the box during the course of the game. But I also think Leeds had a greater share of the ball last night than they will do in many other games. And I think, as we highlighted on Correspondent Week, I have a concern that Leeds' number 9 will get isolated. We'll see more of how that works against an extremely strong opponent in your team, obviously, at the weekend. I guess for Perot owners is pretty unlucky because I guess he would have taken the penalty. But then had he still been on the pitch, maybe it never would got to that circumstance. But ultimately, Everton fans have a right to feel aggrieved about the decision, but I'd be more aggrieved with the performance.
I was going to
They,
say that the
they were
periods are.
shit, mate.
Yeah, I don't want to give any conclusive opinions because I didn't sit and watch the full 90, but the periods I did see looked like Leeds were on top and Everton did not look good from the little bits I did see. So did that translate throughout the whole 90 pretty much then?
Yeah, I mean, well, Lucas Perry in goal had one save to make, which was a fairly straightforward one from Alcaraz. They did literally from that corner. Jake O'Brien should have done better with a header. Both of those chances were created by Dewsbury Hall. So I think on the metrics he'll show up quite well. But as someone who owns him, it was pretty quiet, to be honest.
Okay.
Wasn't particularly great. They were pretty toothless, Everton. In the first 20 minutes, I don't want to say it was a bombardment, but it felt a bit like an away cup tie. You know, bloody hell, we're
Yeah,
under it earlier.
that's the vibe I got watching that bit as
And
well.
then Everton got through it, settled down, but were no threat. And then at the start of the second half, Everton had quite significantly more of the ball. And it just looked like it was going to go on and be 0-0. Like Leeds had missed a little bit like Newcastle at Villa, very different game, but they'd missed the opportunity possibly to go and win the game. But yeah, I think they defended very well. You can say Everton toothless, but it's also worth saying Leeds defended very well. They're obviously going to face a lot bigger tests than that. Everton need reinvestment. I mean, I've ended up having to play. I feel very sorry for them that I had to play James Garner at left back because Sean spoke to us in Correspondent Week. He's been working quite nicely in pre-season where he was playing as the six. You got Idrissa Gana Gay pushing on top of that, who's a really good ball winner, and then you've got the kind of creativity and links to Dewsbury Hall, like would feel like a nice midfield three. So as a consequence, to drop Garner Gay deeper, the press wasn't the same. Garner's played at left back. There was knock-on impacts of that. Obviously, Branthwaite a miss as well. And obviously integrating people like Grealish, and they're going to need to make new signings. Beto, which is completely anonymous
Okay.
up front, wasn't in it at all. So I wouldn't be rushing towards getting any Everton FPL assets at this stage. But I think takeaway would be, as I said right at the start, I'd taken Tarkovsky out for Murillo off the back of the Jared Branthwaite news, and you're watching it and you're thinking, oh, I can see why he's going to be a monster here, James Tarkovsky.
Was he
But I
just
took
cleaning
but I
up?
took him out on the base of with Branthwaite being missing, they're just not quite set defensively. And so why I still think he'll pick up Defcons because they're going to be under more pressure and stuff. I don't visualize the many clean sheets early
Yeah.
on. That's my viewpoint on that. But yeah, if you're a Tarkovsky owner, I'd be very happy with what I saw last night in terms of the potential for that to be a regular thing. That said, Leeds obviously went more direct. They played some nice football, by the way. They went more direct than what other teams will do in terms of crossing into the box, as I said earlier on. Leeds looked like a good side in the opening 20, 25 minutes. They had really good control of the game. But I don't know how much of that was on the opposition. And my biggest takeaway was that as it stands, Leeds will not score enough goals in this league.
Okay.
That's my big takeaway from last night.
I'm just trying to find. Did anyone else get Defcons or was it just Tarkovsky in the game?
Um, Good question. Did
Oh,
Alcaraz hit it? Maybe.
Stack, Anton Stack.
Oh, Anton Stat in midfield. Their midfield three was good. Leeds. I like that. They'll be strong in that area.
What is it? 12 Defcons, right? You
So
need.
I really like. I thought Ampadu played a really, really sensible role as the deepest of the midfield three. He's a good player, but again, I think he'll come under more duress and more pressure from other teams when he's receiving, particularly if he's receiving off the centre backs, but played well last night. Really like the look at Tanaka in midfield, proper busy, really, really busy in midfield. But that front three won't score enough goals.
Are they rumored?
Window's not shut yet, right? But
Yeah, I was just
they've
going to
got
say,
they need more.
are
Noah
they linked to
Okafor
anyone?
has been heavily linked over the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, just remind me for Defcons, is it 12 that you need to get
So it's
the
12 for midfielder or attacker,
yeah.
10 for defender.
So yeah, Stack had 13 Defcons, Tarkovsky 15. Stroik was on 8, so just narrowly missed out.
Another one that was really impressive for Leeds last night, and a lot of the Leeds guys have wanted to highlight this, is Goodmanson at left back, who's in at 4.0. And I think that the theory very much was right, go with like Road on because it will be a safer call in terms of potential of Defcons. But Goodmanson got really advanced. He put some nice crosses in as well. So if you flavour more something a little bit more exciting, then I think Goodmanson is perfectly fine to consider. Obviously not for this week, but once you got beyond this week, I think over a course of say the following 10 weeks or so, I think the run is perfectly reasonable. And those who want a wild card sort of game week 3, 4, I think Goodmanson probably comes back onto the table now. Must do better was how this would read, I think, for both teams though. Great result for Leeds, pleased for them.
Yeah.
I kind of hope Burnley win on Saturday now as well, so they've all got like an early win. Leeds and Sunderland will have a real chance because of what they'll do in home games, I think.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, just for the two of them getting off the mark with 3 points in their first game against the types of opposition where Everton, I don't think Everton will get dragged into it this season, but
No, not
still,
at all.
like
No.
that Leeds may have been thinking of them in that way, and same with Sunderland and West Ham. So yeah, fair
I
play
think
to them.
they were saying on MNF last night that since Moyes had taken over, he'd only lost 4 league games, and
Wow.
they were all to teams who were like right near the top of the league. So it was Liverpool away, City at home, Chelsea away, and there's one more that escapes me. But it was like, okay, that's a reasonable return on what you had when you walked in the door. So this is arguably their first really, really disappointing defeat since David Moyes come back. I think the
And
defeat
also,
could happen in the sense it's not an ideal fixture, promoted team
yeah,
away from my Monday
especially
night opening
Leeds. Yeah,
weekend. But I think Everton's performance was shite.
I think there will be other teams that go to Ellen Road, especially like a nighttime game that drop points. I think so. Yeah, as long as the performance picks up in the next few, I don't think there's any concerns for Everton.
Yeah.
That's a big, as long as the performances improve.
Okay, right. So Friday, Clates, Dan Ballard, you would you was getting a bit of grief on some of the comments. What's he thinking? Rare, rare, rare. And then by Saturday night, it was, oh my god, he's a revolutionary, he's a visionary. Well, what's going on? Um, Dan Ballard, come on, tell me what went through your mind after we did the final drafts podcast.
I think just like I said on the pod, it wasn't like it was me trying to be different, right? It wasn't like I envisage it. I did know he's a set piece threat, and I knew he'd be amongst Defcons, but it was me looking at the other 4.5s like Anderson, that's so boring. Everyone's got him. Van der Ven,
I
like
ain't got him.
no, but like I feel like amongst all the 4.5s, people were talking about like Van der Ven's, Anderson's, I forget who the other one was. And I was like, oh, I just want to go something a bit different. And I really liked Sunderland's opening fixtures, but do you know what? As much as I obviously hate that I took him out, I do think I made the right decision.
Yeah, I agree with you,
Just
mate.
looking at my overall team, like that was me trying to be different for the sake of it. I think, yeah, but
We'd said on Friday, we looked at it and it was like, oh, the first 3 are good. But we spoke about it and you were like, I'm probably only going to use him in this first game.
yeah,
So
and
then my kind of view on that was, is it even worth even playing for a 4.5 necessarily? And is there, if you look at it further ahead, is there something from a rotation perspective that you like a
yeah, I
little
think
bit
my thing
more?
was like, how extreme is that outcome though? Like, oh my god, like, gee, like, do you know? Okay, so when it comes to FPL, like my journey with this game is one where like I've been playing for years since I was in school, and like it was always like a casual game for me. And then I discovered content. I think you and Sudra actually the first pod I discovered. How cute is that? And then I kind of discovered the FPL community, set up the Twitter account, and all of that, and I got obsessive with the game to the point where like it used to dictate my mood on weekends and stuff. And now like the last 2-3 years, I've got much more healthy with it. Where like it is a game that I am not obsessed with, but like really thoroughly enjoy and nerd out on more than the average person. But my relationship with it is, I'd say, healthy. Saturday's the first time in over a year or so I actually felt sad by something that happened in FPL, because when I think I saw, what did I see first? The fact that they were obviously, what minute did he score? Was it
Oh, it
after
was like
60
mid
minutes?
second half, wasn't it?
So like, was
70,
he?
70th minute or so. I don't know. I was at
So
Spurs.
they were on a clean sheet basically.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, okay, so I was keeping an eye on that, and I was keeping an eye on the defcons and stuff. And then I was like, this motherfucker's just scored a bullet header.
it's
And
a great header as well.
it's a fantastic header. And I genuinely felt like a little bit down. I was like, oh man, like, because I think there's one thing with like, I'm quite a logical zeros and ones person and how I think, but I'm also quite emotional. And in that hour, I genuinely felt down. I had to go out, get some fresh air, and then like I came back. I think I went to the cinema with my parents that day, and it's like I got over it. But I would be lying.
I just love the idea. Mum, Dad, take me cinema, please.
that was that was pre-planned. To be honest, I was thinking of trying to get out of the cinema because in my head, there's nothing wrong than sitting and ruminating on that. I'm someone that I need like activity to take my mind off things, not just being stationary. But I got over it, and it's one of them. Like these things happen, but I was like, oh man, how extreme is that outcome? I felt sad, but I'm over it. I made a few changes after that draft. To be fair, I changed my keepers from the double Brentford. I got Sells and Dubravka. I took out
Oh, so you made
Gabriel.
more change because you just said to us you took out Gabriel for Porro.
So I took out Gabriel and Ballard for Porro and Anderson.
Anderson.
And then with the extra point 0.5, I upgraded the Brentford keepers to Sells and
Okay.
Dubravka. So yeah, it's annoying. I was upset. I'm still a little bit like, oh, how cool would that have been to have bagged that haul, especially as I didn't actually do that great this week. So that extra 17 points could have come in very handy. But I don't think I made the wrong decision, but I don't like Anderson being sat there in my team. This is my thing. I didn't like any of the 4.5s, apart from Dorgu, who I didn't play this weekend, but I do like as an option. So it's one of them. Shit happens, unfortunately. Do I have any regrets? No. Do I feel annoyed? Yes. But we move.
I suggest that. I mean, it's funny, but I only particularly think it's funny because I think you made the right decision. Outcomes are outcomes, decisions are decisions. I think if me and Suj just sat it there on Friday and what was he gone to 4.5s? Even when there's 4.0 options available, what is it? If we didn't say anything, it would have been weird.
See,
Okay, Clates.
I get it, but I'm also not so sure. Like, I'm not convinced by Anderson. I feel like I went there because he's like reliable and we all talk about him and we know what he's done. But I look at Sunderland's fixtures versus Fulham, and I didn't watch much of Sunderland last year, so I'm not as clued up. I'm relying on others there, but I really like their run of fixtures. And I don't know if you remember what I was saying about my wildcard strategy. I don't have one. So like it was I am I always try to play the game like this. I try and plan my team for the first 2 to 3 fixtures and have a handful of players with one eye on, like, they're my glue picks that I don't want to touch. And I do look at Ballard as, did I potentially cock up a little bit as a guy that could have been a glue pick? Now, would I have been saying that had he not scored a 17 pointer? I don't know. But I really like
I
their
just don't
fixtures.
think you'd ever been starting him. Whereas, like, I look at things now, like, okay, I get it. Like at the moment, it's about who knows. Maybe in game week 4, when you've got like Dorgu going to the Etihad, and you've now got Joachim Anderson playing at home to Leeds, maybe he'll hit that sort of return for you, mate. Whereas,
Let's hope
whereas,
so.
whereas Ballard would have been going to Palace, right? Like,
Yeah.
I, you've made a decision that I
Yeah.
think is right. The outcome is the outcome. I know people be heavily influenced by that. Yes, you were a visionary, Clates, and I'm sorry that you didn't go for it, but I think it was the
Oh,
right
I've got to
decision.
say on that, by the way, that there was nothing. I agree. You and Suj would have almost been bad co-hosts if you didn't question me on that.
Well, that
Like to the
last
point,
bit is meant to be a bit of a sense check anyway, to say
yeah,
like
like,
what you're
and
doing.
I don't know. Like what am I trying to say? you guys didn't influence me to take him out. Essentially, like I did that on my own to the point where even Spencer was in my DMs saying like they were looking at another centre back or something. I think they may have got him. So he was like, "Oh, he's fine for the first few," but like, it wasn't anything you guys said. I knew I was trying to be different for the sake of it slightly. I, yeah, I just landed on a thing where I completely bottled it annoyingly, but yeah.
I will tell you what I tell people when they tell me at the end of the season. Thanks, James. I had a great FPL season. It's a lot because of you. And I always say to them, I didn't press the buttons. I didn't make
Yeah,
your decisions for 38 weeks. So it's the same when it
but
goes the other way.
it goes the other way, right? You guys weren't so sure on Chris Wood, and I kept with him. So
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's yeah, I don't yeah. No one is holding you at gunpoint in this game. Which
I mean, Chris Wood's arguably saved something that would have been very bad, arguably,
oh yeah,
had
mate.
he not got his cut the goals for you.
Yeah, on Saturday I was looking at my team like quad because I do like my team to be fair. I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, he definitely saved it.
Yeah. So you had what returns from you lost the point for Cucurella last night as
Oh, did I?
well.
What
Yeah,
happened
he's
there?
down to 8 points. He lost a point, and Sanchez got an extra one. I think that was the only changes from the weekend games last night.
What was
Chris
that?
Wood
Bonus or a DefCon or
changing bonus.
okay?
Um, Chris Wood and Porro were your only returnees. Otherwise, I think you were on 47.
Yeah, 47. Game
You
week rank of 6.6 mil, but I'm not
boom.
stressed. I'm not
For the
stressed.
record, me and Suj both finished on 52,
Oh,
but
really?
we were both on bench boost. So I would declare you the winner of the weekend, Clayton, if it makes you feel any better. Lucas Perry saved me somewhat last night. So my actual bench boost finished on 12, which I'd have been happy with before it started. It was just my starting 11 was a bit shit. What are you thinking for the weekend now?
Ideally, I'd like to roll. Again, the way I always play the game, I always try collect 2 weeks worth of information to go into game week 3 to try and chop and change a few if I can. If I was feeling a little bit okay, what are my potential problem areas? Marmouche, obviously gambled on that. I've listened to a lot of the main pod, not finished it all, but I heard you say there's a chance he doesn't play against Tottenham, and I agree with that. Verts, I also agree with you on what you said on the main pod. I think there is a small chance he doesn't play at Newcastle, but do I want to force that out? Not yet. He's not really a problem for me, but someone I would like to get in is Evan Nilsson, and I'm looking at my three in terms of who could make way, and I think it would be Bowen. And that's not to say Bowen is an issue at all. But then Chris Wood is there, like he's done well, and obviously they've just signed a striker, which we'll talk
I think
about
if you went
later.
Chris Wood, you've committed to that for the time being
Exactly,
until he's not in
especially
the team. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I think my viewpoint on that was, can I keep Chris Wood until game week 3, international break? And then when they come to Arsenal away, I think it was Mateta I was looking at. Yeah, Sunderland at home, West Ham away. Don't mind that. I'm also looking at if I don't use the wild card in game week 4, I need to be thinking about a way to get Salah in 4 and 5. Sorry, just around game week 4 as an entry point anyway. And then can I maybe flip that to 6 for Haaland? Flip that to Haaland in game week 6. So I've got things that I'm thinking of, but ideally, I'd like to roll. My problem areas I'm looking at are Marmouche and Wirtz potentially, but probably not going to force any of them out. If I do feel like going for it, I think I am likely to maybe do Evan Nilsson for Bowen this week. Captaincy this week, I probably go Saka. I know the performance at Old Trafford wasn't great, but I don't think that will be repeated on Saturday. Cole Palmer's one. I wasn't aware of this stat before the game of like his open play goal record since was it January or something. I was like, oh
I told everyone before he scored twice in the Club World Cup final, he'd been useless in everyone's minds for 5 months. And then he did that to Paris Saint Germain and he was the best 10 in the world again.
yeah. No, I wasn't influenced by that. It was their fixtures, but it was more when I saw that stat. I was like, oof, don't like that because I think when I've gone no Salah and Haaland, captaincy is pretty much between Palmer and Saka for me, and I feel comfortable with Saka this week. But I'm now looking game week 3. I probably will go Palmer at home to Fulham, but I don't know. By then, if there's someone else I could bring in, like maybe Bruno home at Burnley. But like I said, I've got one eye on. I really need to look at getting Salah in 4 and how that can maybe have a chain onto Haaland in 6. But yeah, as it stands, very very chill. I don't get stressed by poor game week ranks at this stage of the season. I'm very much in data collection mode, and reacting to what I think are the trends.
Okay. Couple of quick fire ones for you before we move on. If you had Saka and Gyökeres, hypothetically, where would your preference be for captaincy
Just for
this
this
weekend
week,
against Leeds?
Saka, because I think there's a slight minutes doubt on Gyökeres, but I also think I prefer a midfielder a lot of the time. And I do think Saka is going to be a bit more of a talismanic role this season. I do think if Gyökeres starts, and you could tell me he'll get 75 to 85 minutes, I think if you could tell me that, actually, sorry, I would go Gyökeres, but I'm not so certain on my minutes prediction to go for it. So I would therefore go Saka.
I'd be more confident in it, unless he's already done the business, actually. Like,
Say
I
that
think
again,
if he
sorry.
comes off early, it's because he's already done the business.
Who,
I think
Gyökeres?
there'll be a real intent to, try
Yeah.
and try and get the. It's one game. It's not like monkey off the back, but do you know what I mean? Just put
Oh,
it to
yeah,
bed
no, for
before
sure.
it could quickly become a thing. And it was some of the fixtures you got after. Oh, you ain't scored in five, or so. I think that they'll be really focused on trying to help him out where they can on
Yeah.
Saturday as
This
well.
is where I know this is going on a tangent a bit, but like I do think Arteta got it wrong, in my opinion. Like I
You
think,
think Havertz should have played?
yeah, like Havertz, in my opinion, should be the striker in off the ball games where we're not going to have a lot of the ball and it's like a cardio session for our number nine a lot of the time. Gyökeres is the guy that in those games which we've historically struggled in, where we're struggling to unlock a team, where we got a lot of the ball, have this guy that's probably got the best goal record in Europe that's just going to smack it hard in the net. Like I think it's quite simple. And I think by putting him in that environment, he didn't do so well. It's now creating this kind of narrative. I think Leeds at home would have been the perfect introduction for him. But and this is why I'm nervous on the minutes prediction, because Havertz's cameo was impressive. And it's like, do you not play him now? Even though I don't think the game is stylistically the best for him, and I think it suits Gyökeres. So, if I had to put, like, it's Tuesday, right? If I had to put a prediction on it, yeah, I do think Gyökeres starts.
I think would be very, very strange if Gyökeres didn't start this weekend,
Yeah,
having started at Old Trafford. I think Adam was very much of the opinion on Correspondent Week that Havertz probably would play at Old Trafford, and then Gyökeres would come in for the Leeds game, and then maybe Havertz would play again against Arsenal, and then it would settle down afterwards. It's worth saying that was Adam's opinion before. I think Gyökeres played more minutes than we expected in the two games that you'd had at the Emirates in pre-season as
well,
well.
and I think Havertz did pick up a knock, to be fair to Adam. So I think that happened after his episode as well.
Would you captain Gyökeres over Haaland?
Oh, I think I would. I think Tottenham are going to be very impressive in big games defensively this season, and I know there's a big influence over the Super Cup, sorry, but I just think I really rate Thomas Frank as a manager. I think you see what he did on Saturday as well, with like changing the game tactically, personnel wise, for Burnley at home versus PSG. So I think Tottenham will be harder to break through in big games. And I mean, cue the hat trick now, but I don't see Haaland hauling against Tottenham.
It's bust on Haaland for me at the moment, but I haven't definitively made my mind up. Couple more quick ones for you. Sells or Dubravka in goal this week? Forest at Palace, Burnley and Sunderland.
Well, I own both, and I've bust Dubravka as my keeper.
Okay. Are you playing Porro or not?
I'm not. I'm not.
Back three at the moment. Which squad have you gone
Esteve,
with?
Cucurella, and Anderson. So Dorgu and Porro on the bench.
So double Burnley defence, yeah?
Correct.
That's another Dan Ballard goal incoming. Right, okay. Let's talk some of the recent transfers that's been announced. Firstly, before we do, just thoughts on Jack Grealish at Everton. We didn't really cover it.
Well,
He's
I,
not
I
fit
didn't.
yet. Clearly, it's going to take him a little while.
I didn't see much of him because I think that was he came on by the time we maybe turned it off. But as a move, I really like that for him. I think he's a player that, especially when he was at Villa, like I absolutely loved him. I know you wanted him at Spurs. He was quite close to going to Spurs. I definitely wanted him at Arsenal at points. He was just such a joy to watch, and I feel like he's been peppified, hasn't he? He's had the kind of life sucked out of his game, which I've not enjoyed seeing, even though they're obviously a rival to us and stuff. And it's mad to think he was 100 million player. He was a treble winner and stuff. And you kind of look at his stocks now, and I think Everton's the perfect move for him. I think Moyes is a very good manager for him as well. I think he might return to being that kind of talismanic figure again. So I think it's a really nice move for him. I don't know how he got on yesterday. How did
I
he
wouldn't
do?
judge him on last night.
Okay.
No. I looked up off the pace, so it's going to take him a while. He's not had a proper pre-season. Yeah, I mean, if you go back 3 or 4 years, yeah, I would have loved to have had Jack Grealish, but I would have been very surprised if Tottenham had made that move. Now, I'd said in the start of pre-season, I thought Everton was the ideal solution for him, so I very much hope that works out. Let's talk. Dango Ouattara has gone to Brentford for a few packet of crisps, let's say. What do you make of that? A lot's been made of the fee.
Well, I think if you can ignore the fee, I'm like, do you know what? I like him as a player. We spoke about him a lot last season in the sense of like he loves a shot, don't he? And you can see what they've tried to do in terms of replacing the players they've lost in like the profile and what he can potentially contribute in output. But that the fee is absolutely bonkers. I think what was it, 42,
42 and
43?
a half, they're saying.
That's like some of the fees this window have been absolutely mind blowing. But if they've got money to spend, then who am I? I'm not an accountant, right? It's just one of them. When you look at the trends of where the market's going and what the average prices are, it's quite concerning when a player like Dango Ouattara is going for 42.5 mil.
I mean, for Brentford and Bournemouth fans will be laughing between themselves about the fact they've exchanged a player for a transfer over £40 million, considering
Yeah.
where both those two clubs were going back sort of 20 years or so. It does tell us where we're at.
Do you think he'll
I
become
think
a
it's a
fantasy?
I think it's a heavily influence on just quite a small period
Say
for
that again.
Bournemouth. I think it's quite a heavy influence on quite a small period for Bournemouth, where he obviously did quite well playing up front. If you take out the hat trick against Forest, I don't think his returns have ever particularly been anything to write home about. It's a gamble. The only reason I'm probably not being more critical of it is that I trust Brentford and what they do in the market. So they'll have their reasons for, but it is a big outlay. I think. I don't think he's worth anywhere near that personally. I hope I'm wrong because I don't dislike the player or Brentford.
Do you think he could be a fantasy asset there, though?
I mean, he could be if he does well. He's like 6 million or so, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it'd be one to watch. Probably one more sort of like around about the wild card crowd, game week 13. Brentford have a good run of fixtures then when a lot of the other more sizable clubs have really good runs. Brentford's one that could act as a little bit of an enabler over that period. So plenty of time to watch and wait on that before steaming in, I think. It's another one obviously left Bournemouth. They're quite happy to let this one go. I think Luis Sinisterra is going back to South America. I'd heard as well. Ben Doak has joined them from Liverpool, who's a player not too. Oh, I say not too many. A lot of people won't be familiar with. Who's a very very lively attacking player. He's probably not going to be the only one that joins the club. Is what I would say. But yeah, a player with a lot of potential. Hope it works out better for Bournemouth than Jordan Ibe. Let's hope
Yeah.
it's more Dominic Solanke than Jordan Ibe in terms of transferring from Liverpool.
Liverpool are so good at selling their youngsters, aren't they? Like I think it was this 20 mil with 5 million add-ons or 25 with
I
5.
think there's a buyback in there as well if they want it. I think.
Yeah, they're very good. Them and Chelsea are very, very good at selling. Like Arsenal, I keep an eye on that because we're terrible at selling. I think so. When you look at that, it's like fair play to him. I don't actually know too much about the player. To be fair, I know he's made a couple of appearances for Liverpool, but what have you seen him play?
Predominantly when I've seen him, possibly most likely off the right. I mean, he's a good ball carrier. I think there's definitely an element of him being able to go up a level. I wouldn't think he'd be going straight in as a starter for them, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting here in 3 4 months and he is that. And needs must a little bit at the moment. They're a little bit light in certain areas, so I'm sure he'll see plenty of minutes. It's not one I'd be steaming into to fantasy. I think it'd probably more likely be eased in. One player probably won't get too many minutes, but he's an incoming for Liverpool. Giovanni Leoni, who's been signed from Parma, made 17 appearances in Serie A last year, centre back. He's only 18.
Yeah,
We knew Liverpool needed another one. So he does have some top flight experience, but he's, of course, still relatively young of age, obviously. But that might mean that Liverpool don't push immediately for Gay or another immediately in this window. So it was clear that they needed at least a fourth option at centre back. I would guess that he is that for the time being. But I don't think it rules out Liverpool not going back for Gay, for example. I think they still might.
yeah.
Ebeze I'll do as a patron chat tomorrow.
I think this
Because
Leoni one's quite similar to Mamadashvili, isn't it? Where they may be looking at Van Dijk, Kanate beyond the next season, how they were looking at Allison for, I don't know, beyond next year. So, yeah, just a smart bit of business where he can maybe contribute as and when needed this year, but very much looking at beyond.
Newcastle have a new centre back as well. He was on the bench at the weekend. Malick Thiaw is coming from AC Milan. Right footer, can play either side centre back, can also cover right back, could even possibly play even a holding midfield role if they had a bit of a crisis as well. And they are quite light in that area. I don't envisage he's going to be first choice. Have you seen or heard anything to the contrary on that?
No, I want to keep an eye on it though because I have got share in my draft team, so
Okay.
I do. I've got a vested interest in that one, but no, I haven't seen anything that hints at anything immediate in terms of him displacing him.
Well, I think obviously in terms of left-sided centre back, Botman Burn,
Yeah,
right-sided was more questionable. So yeah, I think he'll obviously be in competition with Cher. Cher is not the youngest. I think it's fair to say he's been brilliant for Newcastle, but yeah, it might be one that takes over in a little bit of time. Another new signing for Newcastle, Jacob Ramsey.
I really like this move. I think he fits them so well in terms of what they try to do and the intensity they try to play and stuff. I really like that move. I don't know what the fee was, but
It's about 40. And this might lean into a little bit more of a conversation me and Suj might have today actually on our Money in Football podcast about clubs being forced into transfers like this. If you listen to and read statements from the likes of Tyrone Mings and John McGinn, who are part of the leadership group at Villa at the weekend, kind of coming out and very much signalling that it was almost like a transfer that Aston Villa had to do
because
rather
of
than
PSR.
Villa wanting to sell or Jacob Ramsey kicking up a fuss and particularly wanting to leave. It's it's the world of trade, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've essentially got to be trading footballers. I think it's unhealthy, personally. But it could sign in for Newcastle, gives them competition in an area they really need.
Yeah.
I think it would be one if suddenly Newcastle lost Joe Linton for a period of time, which does seem to be something that does seem to happen at some point most seasons. That's an ideal solution in terms of like your left-sided eight. He can obviously play a wider role. I think he could play in a 10, and we might see a bit more of 4-2-3-1 from Newcastle as this season progresses. There were elements of that even at the weekend in terms of how high Joe Linton's positioning was actually. So it's not one they need to force into the team immediately. I think it's a sensible signing. Villa have got a good fee that they can bank on their books. I just don't particularly think anyone at Villa particularly wanted to let him go. I like him as a player. He's been linked with Tottenham pretty much every window for the
Oh,
last
really?
3 years or so. Yeah, it's a player I like.
Yeah, I like him
Uh,
too.
we'll finish for transfer stuff in terms of Forest. I've got plenty of business done. Three new incomings. Two of them were paraded on the pitch at the weekend. Amari Hutchinson has joined from Ipswich Town, many you'd be familiar with. And James McAtee, also played with Hutchinson, has joined for the England under 21 team, has joined from Manchester City. And they've got a new forward in who's Clayton's going to pronounce rather than me.
Kalimuendo.
Easy for you to say Arnold Kalimuendo. See, it was easy. So they've now got half the England under 21 team, it feels like, which is not necessarily a bad position to be in at all, actually. And Kalimuendo is worth noting for people like you that own Chris Wood.
Bit of
I
a
don't know a
bagsman,
lot
yeah.
about the player, but I can see that he scored 17 goals in 33 appearances in Ligue 1 for Rennes last year.
Yeah, and I think it was like 26 mil as well. And obviously they got Jesus, they got Awani there as well. So I think I was aware that they were looking to sign a striker, but I think I just still trusted Chris Wood for the first two, three, and I don't think this guy will come in immediately. I think it will maybe be like, I don't know. Remember Arsenal away last year where it was after an international break where they didn't play Wood? Like, I don't know where Chris Wood's going to be in the international break this year, but it's Arsenal away after it. So could it be a similar thing where they look to get the new guy in? So as long as I'm fine for the first three with Wood, I'm okay. But then I don't know. If you get through Arsenal away, it's Burnley, Sunderland. You kind of want him for them as well. But I do think this guy will come to take minutes off Wood as the season goes. Probably have to be led by results and performances on when that happens. Like Wood is 33 now, right? He's not going to be starting every game this season. They'll probably look to phase and transition him out. They've obviously got Europe as well, so they do need a deeper squad as well. But yeah, I think the sound of this guy from the little I've seen of him, and same as you just heard about his goal records, like okay, sounds quite interesting. But in the immediate, I'm not concerned about Wood.
No, you shouldn't be. He scored twice at the weekend. It would be utterly bizarre if he came straight out of the team. I think you're probably going to be fine. I think game week 4, it's subject to him coming back wherever New Zealand are playing. Again, I still haven't looked at that. Sorry. You're probably not bothered about him away to Arsenal anyway. I'd probably throw a caveat out now in terms of game week 6 at home to Sunderland, in the sense their Europa game is the midweek before.
Okay,
That game has currently been scheduled for 5:30 on a Saturday now, because the first Europa League games are a Wednesday and a Thursday. So they're going to have a 3-day turnaround from the Europa game to the Premier League game against Sunderland either way. So if we play Wednesday, it's still 5:30. Saturday, if it's Thursday, it will obviously move to the Sunday 2 o'clock slot. So there will be a 3-day turnaround now, and there are options to bring in for something like Chris Wood, for something like Sunderland at home. The what that might be dependent on is obviously who Forest playing that first Europa game, right? If it's like a really big game, and particularly if it's away from home, you would think they'll want Wood to play it. I'd be conscious of that for game week 6. Before that, I think you're going to be absolutely fine. He would be such a difficult player to sell,
yeah.
obviously ahead of a fixture against Sunderland. But Sunderland might be top of the league at that point. I'm sure Spencer Barrowman will tell us that on Clash to Correspondence later this week.
Just a
Uh,
quick one on Hutchinson and McAtee. Where do you see them fitting in? Because, like you said, they've got a lot of talent there now.
Yeah, not immediately, but I think you've got to factor in Europa as well. So I think they're well stocked now in that area. They probably want a bit more cover in terms of central midfield and now defensively, and I think we'll work on some bits there before the window closes as well. So I think McAtee I quite like in kind of like the right half space areas from a starting position, almost like a 10 drifting there. And I like Hutchinson in those spaces as well, but drifting inside from an outer position, actually. So I think both of them will be competitive in terms of trying to get minutes. Hutchinson will compete, I guess, with Ndoye, maybe with Hudson Odoi as well. McAtee can also play wide. I would think Hutchinson might get in a little bit earlier than McAtee.
Okay.
Just I think that with the midfield, with Gibbs White and Anderson, that's very difficult to move that unless you're moving Gibbs White back and playing something ahead of that, which is obviously an option for them as well. I thought that they might start the season that way with maybe sort of like Jesus dropping off Chris Wood. So you could see McAtee behind Wood and Gibbs White dropping a bit deeper, for example. Got some really good options there. And I think they're sensible signings. If they don't work, you'll get your money back. They're young, promising players that many clubs wanted. Just one more line before we finish. There's a sign has been announced this morning by Wolves. Jackson Tchatchoua, what a great name that is, has joined the club. Was it Verona? Was it we looked
It
at,
was
Clay? So
Verona,
we had a
yeah.
quick glance, and that is going to be Wolves' right wing back solution. I think whether he's going to be good enough or not, I'll let you
He
know in a
had
couple of months.
he had 5 attacking returns last season. I think it was nothing to write home about.
Brilliant. Wolves might be a bit more interested in what he's doing defensively at the moment as well.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go very, very far across Europe, nearly into Asia, actually. Euro focus, Clayton. Here we go.
We are going to Kazakhstan for the mighty Kairat Almaty. And we're covering them because they are Celtic's opponents in the Champions League playoff round. So, yeah, good luck to them. But yeah, they're based in Kazakhstan. I'm not going to try and pronounce their nickname, but
Yes, you are, because
no,
whenever you
I'm
say
not.
that, I make you.
I am not because I literally don't know where to start. It's all right.
Good luck.
Halik Komandesi, which translates to the nations team, and you'll see why because they're very within the country of Kazakhstan. The vibe I got is like this is the team for the patriotic people to support, and I think you'll understand why as I kind of talk through it and stuff. But yeah, their nickname translates to the nations team. And yeah, they've pretty much always carried the flag, sorry, for Kazakhstan football. They were founded back in 1954 as a team called Lokomotiv Alma-Ata, and they switched names a couple of times. And by 1956, they were then officially Kairat. From then, they basically became the pride of Almaty, which is Kazakhstan's like cultural capital. Their home ground is the
Astana, is it Astana's the capital, isn't it?
Sorry, Astana. Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying Astana.
No, you
This is
said cultural. Almaty, you're saying it's a cultural capital. Astana is
Yeah,
the
Astana's the
actual
actual
capital, isn't
one.
it?
But
Yeah.
yeah, the thing is, when I was researching, is like everyone kept saying, yeah, the cultural capital is Almaty.
I'm trying to say Astana's a shithole or like
I guess so.
I've
Yeah.
never been there.
Didn't
I
Chelsea
don't
play
know.
there last year?
I'm pretty sure Chelsea did play Astana in the Conference League last year. I think so.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
feel
right.
like we covered
We
whoever they
probably
were
covered
playing.
them actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was probably Almaty. I can't remember,
Do you
but
know
that
what? They
that
did
rings a
play
bell.
there. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and like freezing cold. Gary was telling the story recently of Pedro Neto getting suspended, his fifth yellow card in the Premier League the weekend before. So the double consequence was he was suspended for the next Premier League game, and then Maresca took him out for that game because he was like, "Well, you're suspended the weekend anyway."
But yeah, this team Kairat, their home ground is the Almaty Central Stadium. It's quite big to be fair. It hosts, I think it was 23,800 from memory, so just under 24,000. It was built in the Soviet 50s and it was nicknamed the Small Luzhniki because it was
Hmm?
modeled actually after, sorry, it was modeled on Moscow's big Olympic Stadium, which I think is quite cool. Now, in the Soviet era, Kairat were actually the only Kazakhstani team in the USSR top league. They spent about 24 seasons there, and that's why people still call them the nations team. But in the media and stuff, they were called Kairat Concrete because apparently they were known for being solid at the back. And in that period, they did pretty well. They won 2 second-tier titles. They actually lifted the 1988 USSR Federation Cup. And way back in 1971, they won a competition called the European Railways Cup, which technically made them the first Soviet club ever to win a European Championship competition. Sorry, which I found quite an
Top
interesting
stat,
bit.
mate.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one a lot. You kind of fast forward to where they got their independence and stuff, and then I think that's where they became the obvious choice as the kind of leading Kazakhstani club. They won the first Kazakhstan Premier League in 1992. They won it again in 2004, 2020, and most recently last year in 2024. They've got the record.
So only 4 times.
Yeah, not loads. Not like a dominant period either. It's all quite spread out, isn't it? Um, yeah, they've got the record for the most Kazakhstani Cups. They've won 10 of them, and they've got 3 Super Cups as well. They won one earlier this year in 2025. In the late 90s, they did have a bit of problems, though. The club actually split into two. So one was backed by the military and one was backed by like private sponsors and stuff. And they actually played against each other in the league, which is quite interesting. And that lasted until around 2001, which is when they reunited again. You then fast forward to 2009, and they actually went bankrupt and they dropped into the second division. But then they bounced straight back up immediately. And in Europe, they've had some pretty memorable nights. So they'll be hoping that against Celtic, I can't remember if it's this week or next week that they play them. Apologies, but
It's in
yes.
both. 2 legs on it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, they've had some memorable nights, so they'll be hoping they can repeat that over the 2 legs. So before Kazakhstan joined UEFA, they actually got to the quarterfinals of the Asian Cup Winners' Cup. And in Europe specifically, they've beaten Red Star Belgrade. They've knocked out Aberdeen. In 2021, they actually reached the Europa Conference League group stage. And obviously, in this campaign, 2025, they've beat 2 teams, Olympia Ljubljana.
Ljubljana from
Ljubljana.
Slovenia. I'm very
Sorry.
familiar with Ljubljana because that was nearly as the
That's
easiest
where.
route to Udine. I went to
Oh, okay.
Venice, but Ljubljana was an option to go to Udine.
I thought there was a dating story there about a girl, but I'm confusing a name. I feel like there was someone linked. Nah,
Keep going.
there was a girl you mentioned linked with a girl linked with
No,
a club. Yeah, no, we spoke
I've
about
never been
Euro
linked to any
Focus.
girls. This is a myth.
We, we spoke about a club on Euro Focus, and you mentioned a girl, and I
No,
forget who it was. People, let us know. There was definitely one
no.
last season.
Before you
Anyway,
all type, it was Jagiellonia, not
Jagiellonian.
Ljubljana.
I got him.
Jagiellonia is in Poland.
Yeah.
Ljubljana is in Slovenia. It's a bit of a walk, mate.
Just a little bit. But yeah, they've beaten them. They've beat KUPS of Finland and Slovan Bratislava so far to get themselves to here. So yeah, good luck to them against Celtic. Do you know who their manager is?
Not a Scooby, mate.
I think you'll be surprised.
Go
Do you
on, give
remember?
us like a who am I? Go on, see if we can
Okay.
get there.
Zenit St. Petersburg's record goal scorer.
Christ. Is he Brazilian?
No.
Is he a Ukrainian?
Nope.
Is he a Russian?
Correct.
Yuri Zhirkov.
Alexander Kershkov.
Wouldn't have got that in 50 guesses, mate. I don't think.
Really? I thought you would have. But yeah,
I knew it was it's something off. That's all I know.
he's their manager. I didn't research too much about this, which I should have done in hindsight. But they've got an official partnership with Sporting Lisbon where they kind of share, not share, sorry, but like
Sporting
they're
Club de Portugal. Before anyone gets offended.
is that a thing?
Yeah.
People get offended by Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah, they're not happy about that. I've
Oh,
been told a
really?
number of times about that.
Oh,
Call us
okay.
Sporting, please.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair play. So, yeah, they've got a partnership with Sporting Club de Portugal, which means their youth players kind of get access to obviously one of Europe's best academies when you think of some of the players they've produced and stuff. But one thing I did research, you know me, what's one of my favorite films? Borat. So, when I heard
It's nice.
it's nice. When I heard I was covering a team from Kazakhstan, I was like, I want to have a Google, go down a rabbit hole, see if there's any link to it or not anything. But like, there's absolutely not. The only thing that was quite interesting was I was reading some news articles and stuff. Apparently, when Borat came out, I think circa 2006, understandably so, I think, given the reputation that film gives of the country, like people were quite pissed off. And I think a lot of people felt like Kairat as the team were kind of like that pride sort of thing. So I think it almost built a bit of like tribalism and patriotism amongst people to go and support this team when that came out as a kind of uh standing up for themselves against an unfair stereotype in that movie. So
That film was 2006, did you say?
I haven't got that in front of me. I think that's when it came out. I
Wow.
may be well off with that.
Suddenly just felt another 10 years older than I am.
But yeah, that's Kairat.
Nicely done, mate. Yeah, I hope they go out.
What?
I've got-
Are you like a Celtic ultra or
No,
like...
I went to Ibrox last year, didn't I? And I took my dad to Parkhead for a stadium tour and Hampden Park on the day of the game. But yeah, would love to have a European night at Celtic. That's the reason. It's nothing to do with Kyra. Although it is one I think you'd be if they got through, you'd be like, I don't want that as an away game. Yeah, it's far.
A little bit, but I'd love to go to I'd love to go to Kazakhstan.
Right, well, you go to Kazakhstan and do your away days. I'll take the cold of Scotland instead. I think would be a little bit of a preference for me. No, I wish our friends in Kazakhstan the best of luck for that game. I always want Celtic and Rangers and the other Scottish clubs in Europe to get through and do quite well. Hibernian have got a big game, haven't they? I think I want to say the Conference League, but they're close. They've got a decent chance of getting in the group stage, I think. Good luck to them. On this day, I'm going back 24 years, Clates. This is also an opening weekend of the season game and felt like a fitting one with the two clubs playing each other on a Super Sunday this weekend because this was a Super Sunday game back on the 19th of August 2001. It was champions against champions. That was how it was very much billed. It was Manchester United against Fulham at Old Trafford. This was Fulham's first ever appearance in the Premier League. They had been in the top division previously, but not for a good sort of circa 25, 30 years or so. And the people were generally fancying them when they came up. They'd absolutely smashed to bits the championship and were buying people like Edwin van der Sar from Juventus. People were genuinely tipping up Fulham as I think they could finish top six or so. It didn't quite transpire that way.
I can't wait
But
to hear the
the,
lineups for this one because I can't place this era in my head right now in terms of the team. Whenever you say the game and the year, I always try to predict the lineup in my head, and I can't get this one.
I'll tell you at the end. Or do you want to? Should we do lineups first? Do
Whatever
lineups
you want.
first. Let's do lineups first. So United team was Fabian Barthez, Dennis Irwin, Yap Stam, Mikel Silvestre, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Juan Sebastian Veron, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Not bad.
This was Van Nistelrooy's debut for United in the Premier League. Obviously, should have joined them the year before, but had suffered an ACL injury.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, the transfer got put off for a year, and United told him all the way through. Said, don't worry, get yourself ready. We'll be back for you next year.
Fair play to him.
Fulham, Van der Sar in goal. Back four of John Harley, left back. Steve Finham, right back. Champions League winner at Liverpool. Alan Gomar, Andy Melville. Midfield, some cultured players in here. John Collins, I really liked, who was coming towards, I say coming towards the end of his career. It's harsh because he went and played for Everton after that or before. I might have my years the wrong way around, but he was part of a really good Celtic midfield. I really enjoyed watching a lot in Old Firm games in the 90s. Bjarni Goldbeck, you might remember played for Chelsea as well. Scored one
No, I don't know
screamer
him.
at White Hart Lane late in the 98-99 season. Steve Davis, not Steve Davis, Sean Davis, sorry, who Tottenham bought, and I was delighted when we got him, and that did not work out. Steve Malbronk, who Tottenham
Oh
also
yeah.
bought. That one worked out a little bit better. Like Steed, and up front, Lewis Sahar and Barry Hales.
So I did think Saha was there, but then I was like, I'm 3, 4 years too early. I didn't realize he was there in 2001.
And it only took Sahar 4 minutes to give Fulham the lead. Nice ball over the top from Davis. Sahar pulls it down, and he pulls it down so well it almost comes back a little bit behind him, and Barthez is running out because he doesn't think there's every chance Sahar's not going to be able to control it, or if he does, it might run through to him. But because Sahar controls it down and kills it, it's a little bit behind him. He just takes one little look at Barthez and just stinks it over him. Beautiful little goal. 4 minutes up, the champions are winning at the champions. And Sahar could have made it 2-0 only a few minutes later as well. Fulham started really well. United progressively come back into it. David Beckham had a free kick, was tipped over by Van der Sar. Paul Scholes hit the post. Beckham then had another effort from a free kick after 35 minutes, and this was very much trademark one. If you think David Beckham free kick, you have it kind of just left the centre,
Yeah.
wall protecting goalkeeper's right hand side, straight over that wall, top bin. Yep, it's pretty much that. In off the bar just for extras. It's one of them. Van der Sar looks at it and he knows he's not getting there, and he goes down on one knee. Yeah, I'm not getting that, am I? It crashes off the bar and then goes right back into the roof. And
They
that
always look the best when it hits the woodwork as well.
trademark Beckham free kick. Best ever Beck's free kicks.
Was it?
No,
Do
I'm
you think?
saying is
Oh,
he.
oh, sorry, you're
If
asking me.
if you
Was
had
it?
someone to take a free kick
No, who
at
was
the
the guy
peak
at
of their careers, you think of
Celt?
Juninho, aren't you? At
Nah, guy at
Leon.
Celtic as well, Nakamura. He,
Nakamura at Celtic, that's a rogue one.
Juninho is probably the one, but Nakamura was quality at him as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think
Beckham is
Jun-
definitely in the conversation.
Juninho at Leon, it just
Yeah, he was a
smashed him
joke.
in.
Yeah,
Original knuckleball, I feel like, from
yeah,
anywhere. So 1-1 at half time. Fulham played quite well and they start the better again early in the second half. Malbronk wins a turnover, plays it through to Zaha, drags it onto his right foot. Gary Neville's coming across, can't get there on the cover in time. Zaha buries it into the far bottom corner. Fulham back in front. 2-1 at Old Trafford. But everyone at this point is going, oh yeah, these lot are serious. Like,
yeah.
they're all right. And they were spending money. Obviously, at the time, Mohamed Al Fayed was the owner. He was happy to put his hand in his pockets. You remember Fulham? I think it's fair to say they are still a small club, but at that point, it was a little bit like, for more than modern one, a little bit like when Brentford come up. It was
Yeah.
like, this is weird. Doesn't feel right them being in this division. But they had some very good players. Unfortunately, the league didn't last though. Only 3 minutes later, Van Nistelrooy equalised. Got in the end of a flick from Andy Cole, would come on. And Van Nistelrooy got there just ahead of Van der Sar. Van der Sar gets a little hand on it. It takes a weird kind of backspin and then runs away faster into the corner. And only 2 minutes later, Van Nistelrooy would score what would prove to be the winner. Crossing from the right-hand side. Silvestre meets it at the far post. It gets blocked. Van Nistelrooy's in on the far side, completely unmarked. He's in the right place. Can't miss. Cut the yards out. Buries it. And United would hold on for a 3-2 victory. But Fulham requited themselves very well. They did okay during the course of that season. They weren't helped that Craven Cottage wasn't ready for Premier League football. So you might remember they played there the first season, but then afterwards they had to go and play at Loftus Road for a little bit whilst they did the two ends, because it was, most of the stadium was terracing, right? And
Yeah,
that
I didn't
wasn't
know that
allowed at
either.
that point. So the rule was that if you'd got into the top two divisions, you had to become two-seaters within like 2 years. But I think, I'm not sure if Fulham did them back to back, but they came through really quickly. Once the money was in, it was like, yeah, they just powered through the leagues. John Tigana was obviously the Fulham manager at the time as well. Fulham did get the one over on United the following year. They went back just over 12 months later. United hadn't conceded a goal at home in the Premier League at that stage of the following season. And Fulham put on a very memorable performance for their supporters, winning 3-1 at Old Trafford, which included goals from Lee Clark. Mal Brunk got the second, and a brilliant third goal, a very iconic goal from a former Arsenal player, Clayton.
Oh, I'm not going to get this. Give me a clue. Give me a clue.
Asian.
In a moto.
Yes.
Boom.
Junichi Inamoto. So they'd nearly scored a third on a breakaway, and then they kept the ball, and you can hear the groans around Old Trafford. It's like, can't pressure them. Fulham are on it. They're dominating. And then Inamoto gets on the end of another through ball from Malbronk, loops it over Tim Howard. They won 3-1 at Old Trafford. They won comfortably. And they've had some more recent success. They obviously locked United out at Old Trafford on penalties last season in the FA Cup as well. Game this weekend is obviously at Craven Cottage. I don't want to captain Cole Palmer in game week 3, Clates, because I feel about Fulham like I feel about Palace. It's not the sort of team I really want to
agree
target with players for captaincy unless it's one of the big two.
Yeah,
Haaland or Salah, fine. The rest, don't feel that comfortable about it.
You never feel like they're going to open the floodgates, do you?
No, it doesn't feel like anyone gives Fulham a hiding. The same as like with Palace, as we kind of spoke about yesterday as well. That's on this day from 2001.
I on Friday, I saw Late Riser posted a comp, right, which was it was fantastic. Just kind of got everyone in the mood for the new season, and it made me want to watch Premier League years. I couldn't find it anywhere. Like they just stopped showing that, because even when you talk about these old games like this, I'm like, I used to love watching Premier League years, but I've not seen it on the telly for so long.
They must be on demand on Sky or something, surely.
Yeah, maybe. I've got a.
Oh, here he goes. Yeah, that's why you couldn't find it, innit? Keep hoping for the rerun. I want that one season, but I've got to be there at the time because I've got a dodgy box. Yeah, okay, mate.
I really want to watch it because when I hear about the older eras of football, I love it. I love it so much. Well covered.
We had a chat actually on our Q&A on Patreon yesterday about a missed opportunity that I think BBC, ITV and Sky all have at the moment of not showing more nostalgia football.
Big time.
Like the idea that ITV could just, I don't know, like every Monday night or something, just show like a Champions League highlight show from the 2000s or something like that.
I would eat that up.
Yeah, there's certain generations would I was spoke about BBC if like they showed Match of the Days from like the 70s or 80s, like my dad would like eat that up as well. So yeah, I think there's missed opportunities, and I think Sky the same. That when they show like classic, it's like the same ones over and over again. Like I could sit through West Ham Tottenham from 2007 over and over, but for everybody else, I've seen that now. Yeah, and the more you see something, the less glamorous it is. It's like stop watching Liverpool Newcastle from 1996. It's like the best game of football ever in Premier League history. Till you actually watch it back and you go for excitement and entertainment and meaning. Yes, it probably was, but the football's nowhere near like what we think it is now. The evolution of football over 30 years is mad.
Yep.
Cheers, Kate. Thank you very much, my friend. What we got left? Ask James tomorrow. I don't know what time yet. As said yesterday, beginning this magnificent jury service tomorrow. Once I'm back in the office, I will do a stream for you. I'm anticipating 6 o'clock. I'm hoping that's the worst case scenario. Thursday clash of correspondence for you is Burnley versus Sunderland with Jack Toner and Spencer Barrowman, and David Hunter is joining the team. We'll be premiering a new show called The Weekender on Friday. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. For those on the audio, a 5-star review goes a really long way. And for those on YouTube, smash a like, hit the sub button for the benefit of those. Wait. You got something else you want to say?
Yeah, do it in the Michael Elise way.
What?
Do it like Michael Elise.
You do it.
I'm here free of will. Subscribe to the channel. There's lots of great content on the channel, so yeah, subscribe.
Can I also say for our patrons who may not often watch the quiz that me and Clates have already recorded for Thursday, I reckon it includes possibly the funniest 3 minutes of Planet FPL content of all time. Because of this man, not because of me. And I'm going to leave that there and tell you that's out on Thursday. For the benefit of those on the audio, cue music, please. Man child, be nice to each other, everyone.